Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning. How we doing? More importantly, how's Skip doing?
No, I need that same energy you gave me Monday and Tuesday. I need that. How about this, Jenny? I need that energy.
Well,
we'll get to Lucky LeBron and those Lakers in just a moment.
What about the flipper? No.
First, I must take my medicine, and I'm ready.
Skip, you're throwing me off.
We both vaccinated. Give me my pal.
I'm not going to touch. I'm not touching.
Oh, my gosh. I'm not used to it. We need to do this for you, Skip. This is how we start the show. Okay, all right. We will get to the Lakers, I promise, and apparently Lucky LeBron. Just a second. We have to start with that other team in L.A. The Mavericks took a 2-0 series lead on the Clippers after a 127-121 victory at Staples. Dallas had another great shooting night in which they shot 18 of 34 from three-point range, and Baby Bird himself, Luka Doncic, led the way with a team-high 39 points. But despite 41 points for Kawhi and 28 for Paul George, the Clippers just couldn't make stops when it mattered down the stretch. LA has now lost 5 straight playoff games dating back to their collapse in the Orlando bubble last year. And Shannon, what is the biggest reason the Clippers lost here?
Yeah, Shannon, what's the biggest reason?
I'm not going to overcomplicate this, Skip. They can't do anything with Luka. Luka's played 8 playoff games in his career, and they've all been against the Clippers. He's averaging 32, 10, and 9. He can get whatever he wants against whomever he wants. And he's so good at passing the basketball, so when they bring the double team, he already knows where the double team's going to come, and he's passing the ball to wide open guys, Skip. They hit, what did they hit last night? They made 15 of the 18 threes were classified as open shots. 10 were classified as wide open, which the nearest defender was not at least 6 feet within the guy attempting the shot. 5 of them was open, which was in 4 to 6 feet. So let that sink in for just a second. 15 of their made threes were classified as open to wide open. Skip, they can't do anything with Luka. They've done everything they possibly could. And now everybody was telling me they had dogs on the defensive end. Paul George was an elite two-way player. So was Kawhi and Serge Ibaka and Pat Bev. And this is what Luka was against Kawhi and Paul George last night. He was 7 of 13. And all I know is this. Now, you told me, oh, the Lakers, you remember they was hunting Luka out. Kyle Kuzma said, wherever Luka was, we wanted Luka. In the fourth quarter, Luka went hunting. Wherever Pat Bev was, he found him. He had a tracker on him. So Pat Bev was over there in the corner. He says, whoever's guarding Pat Bev is guarding, come see me at the top of the key. He got to the rim whenever he wanted to. The step back was falling. And even Paul George, he said, he can't do anything with me. He can't. And they can't. That's it, Skip. I mean, look, we can go on all this and say, but what they've done to the Mavericks, Skip, they've turned them into the 2017 Warriors. Because they can't... The threes are just raining threes. Now, I'm not saying the Mavs are a great three-point shooting team, but when you got decent guys and you're going to leave them wide open, more times than not, they're going to make those threes. Tim Hardaway Jr. is making them pay every time. If they go help off of him, he's finding them. Luka's finding them. So, Skip, it's as simple as that. They cannot until they can contain Luka Doncic. And they can't. Unless, remember last year, Skip, he was kind of banged up a little bit, and somebody not accidentally stepped on his ankle, and it limited him. But he's healthy now, and he's cooking everybody. Kawhi, Paul George, Pat Bev, but that's the reason why they're in this position. You can't let a team shoot 59% from the floor, 53% from 3. The only reason this game was close, why, Skip? They missed 11 threes. 11 free throws. If they make 8, it's a blowout.
So, before I get to what I'm about to say, I'm going to address what you just said about quote-unquote Baby Bird, as in Baby Larry Bird, as in Larry Bird Jr., as in the player I call Baby Sparrow, because he remains dramatically overrated. You just raved about him. This is the second straight game. We're 2 games into this series, and twice you have raved about Luka in the fourth quarter. In the first game against my Clippers, Luka Doncic, Baby Bird, scored all of 1 point. Can you see this count? 1 point in the fourth quarter. Last night, Shannon says he was hunting last night in the fourth quarter. He was just hunting. He scored a grand total in the fourth quarter last night, unless my eyes are deceiving me, of 4 points in the fourth quarter. 4 points. It killed my Clippers. His 4 points in the fourth quarter.
No, the 39 killed your Clippers.
Killed him. Yeah, he missed both of his 3-point shots in the fourth quarter. He just ran us right off the floor, hunted us down, and shot us out of our own gymnasium in the fourth quarter. Way to go, Shannon. I love your analysis. Now, back to what really happened. Let's go big picture first, shall we? The Los Angeles Clippers have been victims of a brutally, viciously unfair media myth driven by you and Chris Broussard on the show. And Chris will join us just in a few minutes here on the show. I can't wait for that. You have driven the media myth that the Clippers, quote unquote, tanked to get to the Dallas Mavericks, which is the biggest bunch of phony baloney in the history of Undisputed and sports media, because all they did was rest their starters down the stretch so that they could be completely, utterly healthy, because they have two fragile superstars in Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, who are 100% physically healthy. I don't know about the mental side. I'll get to that in a moment. We'll get to pandemic P in just a moment. But the point is that all of a sudden the Dallas Mavericks, they wanted us, they got us in their own gymnasium. We're going to shoot them right between the eyes. And they came out, did the Dallas Mavericks with fire in their eyes in games 1 and 2. In my career, I have never seen anything like what I just beheld, because I'm going to remind everybody. Last night, well, let's do game 1 first. They made 17 threes in game 1. 17 threes? Are you kidding me? That was 47% shooting. Last night, they made 18 of 34 threes. That's 53%. Guess what they shot for the whole year from the three-point line?
What did you?
They ranked 18th in the league. And again, for the whole year, they're a 35% three-point shooting team. Only once in 72 games did they shoot above what they shot last night. They had one 55% shooting night against the Pelicans in Dallas. So was this an aberration? This was off the charts, unexpected for the team that ranked 18th in free throw shooting to completely outshoot the team that ranked first in free throw shooting at Staples, the home court of the Los Angeles Clippers. Wait a second. They're ranked 18th and they make 53% of their threes. They're from the free throw line. They rank 15th and they're horrible from the free throw line because they're a horrible free throw shooting team. They made 13 of 24 free throws. So you're making every 3-point shot you throw up into the rafters.
But you can't make a free throw.
And you can't make a free throw. From the field, they rank 14th during the regular season in field goal percentage. And last night, they shot, look at this, they shot 59%. It's ridiculous. I can't stop it. And now back to my Clippers. If you told me going into this game that my Clippers, who led the whole league in three-point shooting, would make 39.4% of their threes, that's 13 of 33, which is pretty great.
That's pretty good,
right? Yeah. If you told me they would make 18 or 20 free throws because they led the NBA in free throw shooting, that's 90% they made. They were 84% for the season. If you told me that they were going to shoot 54% from the field, I'd say, thank you very much. It's 1-1 going to Dallas.
Right.
But no, the Mavericks came out unconscious, playing possessed. Everything they threw up into the rafters swished. They didn't just rattle them in. They swished everything.
But, Skip, a lot of the shots they were shooting, they were open. I don't know. Your problem is it's not your offense. Right now, currently, you can't stop anybody.
Tell me how open this one was. I'd like to see the first one here.
What do you want to see? You want to see Baby Bird?
No, I want to see Porzingis. This is 7:09 left in the second quarter. Porzingis comes down and says, oh, I got this. And swished. He just bangs it home. That's almost a logo three. I'm saying.
That from Long Beach.
Wait a second. Like he just stepped right off the logo and made that. This guy's what, 7'1"? 7'3"? What?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
That was from Calabasas.
Yes, that was from Calabasas. And my little Maltese Hazel watches at my feet every night, and I look down at Hazel. I said, we are in big trouble because when he does that, we are cooked.
Yeah.
So then I got another quick sequence for you. This is at the end of the half when I thought, listen, Kawhi Leonard was special last night, especially in the first half. All he did was score 30. Can you ask more than scoring 30 in the first half from Kawhi Leonard?
Not give me 12 in the second half.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's. I think that'd work. Would I taken 41 from Kawhi? Yeah, I'd take 41.
But you can't let the superstar go get 39 because he canceled you out.
Okay. So Kawhi is just firing. Whatever Dallas would do, he would top it. And he comes down late in the first half with 34 seconds left and just rips another three. If we could see that. He's just out of his mind. He said, just give me the damn ball and get out of my way. And guess what happens? They come right back down on the other end. Luka gets doubled, as you said, and there's Hardaway. Is he open? Yeah, he's pretty open. And he rips another one and cancels out. That was Clippers up 3, and all of a sudden the game is tied. So just when I thought, oh, we're going to pull away at the end of the half, nope, here we go again. And it leads to a third quarter in which they tripled Kawhi Leonard throughout the third quarter.
Yeah.
I still thought he should have just demanded the ball and said, just get out of my way like he did in the first half. But they won the third quarter 30-11, and it was just hard to overcome that. And in the midst of that, if we could see what Paul George did, with 7:43 left in the third quarter, this is where Paul George has a good game statistically, but this is pandemic P. This is to tie the game. Is that open?
Yeah.
Is that an open dunk?
Well, Skip, you remember last year, the game 7, he missed a couple of layups.
Okay. That's not a layup. That's a dunk.
Right.
You just got to dunk it. I get that there's a hand on the ball for a second, but you just got to go up and just go strong and dunk the ball. That took the life out of the Clippers, who quickly fell over the next 3 minutes down by 11. So that's the first pandemic P sighting. And then in the second half, finally, Marcus Morris snapped out of his skunk funk that he's been in. And all of a sudden, he makes a couple of threes. And I look up, and it's a 5-point game. And I'm thinking, okay, here we go. And Luka misses again in the fourth quarter. If we could see this sequence, Luka was missing like crazy in the fourth quarter. And he tries a little crazy shot and almost missed the rim as usual, and comes right back down. And Paul George says, I got this. I got this. And you don't got this, because it's short. It's like there's no ball movement. He just said, I'm going to go solo and shoot this. That's to cut it to 2 right there.
But see, you didn't have. You remember opening night? When he was doing those exact same plays, there was no ball movement, but he was making those shots. Yeah. And everybody said, well, PG is back. Skip, it doesn't matter all that. Luka is averaging 35, 8, and 9 in this series. They can't contain him.
Yeah, I could live with Luka last night. It didn't bother me a bit. Look what he shot from 3. You like that?
Skip.
He made 5, which is rare for him. He's a 33% career free throw.
Skip.
3-point shooter.
Yep. You have to understand, at one point, he was 5 of 9. You look at what he did in the first half.
About 5 of 13. I can live with that.
He ended up 5 of 13, but they shot 67% in the first half. They shot 10 of 15 from the 3 in the first half. You keep talking about the fourth quarter, but what are you guys doing? You guys are trying to play catch-up come fourth quarter because they've driven the nail in your head in the third quarter.
They did.
They outscored you 30-19 in the third quarter. So now you're playing catch-up, but down the stretch, he made every right play. Found Tim Hardaway Jr., wide open 3. Found Porzingis with a dunk that basically finished the game. Skip, your problem is not offense, because if you look at your numbers, you mentioned it. You made 13. You made almost 40% from your 3. You made 54%. Shot 90 from the free throw line. Your defense, you can't stop them. You just said they were a middle of the pack. They were poorest in every statistical category.
They were below average.
Okay.
They're 18th in 3-point shooting.
With that being said, how in the hell they at the top of the charts right now come playoff time against you with all those great defenders on the team?
In 2 games, they have made 35 of 73s. That's 50% for a team that actually shot 36% during the regular season. Luka, if we could look at Luka, he shot 35% during the regular season. And if you look at his body of work, this is 3 years for Baby Bird, the guy you compared to one of the great shooters in the history of this game, Larry Bird, one of your favorite players.
Yes.
This is Luka. As a rookie, he made 32%. Second year, 31.6. This year, 35%. That averages out to 33%.
He moving on up.
That ranks 269th over the last 3 years of three-point shooting. 269th, and he's doing that to the Clippers in those 2 games because he's playing angry, because he's saying, oh, you wanted us, you got us.
Skip, he does so many. If you just look at him and says, well, he's not a great three-point shooter, or he's not a great free throw shooter. He's a great basketball player. His IQ is off the chart. He knows he can get anything that he wants. Me and Jim put together, I stayed up late last night because I couldn't sleep, and we put together a little package. Jim, you got that package what Baby Bird was doing last night? Because look at this, Skip. Look at this.
No, I think I've already seen it. Oh, you know what? It took all his might to get up to dunk.
Wham! That's on Kawhi.
That was his
Look at
best
this,
shot.
Skip. That's a one-footer on the break in your mug, Kawhi. And yeah, look at Luka. Look at that. They can't do that with me. Oh, this Pat Bev. Oh, you too small. I keep telling you, unless you grew overnight to 6'8", you too small, Pat Bev.
Look at this. It takes all his might to get up to dunk it with one hand.
Way to
go. Way to go.
What about this, Skip?
That's a good shot. All of his fadeaway step backs, they're good. I give you those. He can do that. He's not a good three-point shooter, but any mid-range, fall-away, step back, he's got that.
The thing is with him, Skip, he's not really shooting wide-open threes. He's shooting that step back like James Harden, so those are tougher shots. But if you look at all the other guys, you look at Hardaway Jr., you look at Finney Smith, you look at all the other guys that's shooting threes, ain't no hand in their face. It's like they're standing up on the basket hoping to get the rebound. Well, you're going to get it out the rim and take it out because that's what you're going to do. But if you look at Luka is taking threes, they're very contested. Everybody else, they're getting wide open looks at the basket. Skip, look, I understand that everybody's not a great player, but it's probably 6 to 7 guys. If you leave them wide open at the three-point line in the NBA, they're going to knock that shot down.
Okay, I will give you this. I'm not at all disappointed in my Clippers' offensive productivity so far. It's been pretty to very good.
Yes!
But I am stunned and devastated over how little effort they're playing defense. And it's not just on Luka, it's on everybody else. It's like they sleepwalk on defense. They're so much better than that. And
Are they?
I've always admired Tim Hardaway Jr. You want to talk about form shooting threes?
Yeah.
By the way, just the last that we cut it to 4 at the end of the game, and there's like a minute 12 left, and they come right back down, and guess who? The designated killer. That was Terrence Mann on a little lob dunk or layup, and then Luka comes right back down and says, "Oh, well, I'll take that. I'll take that."
Get the ball to
Hardaway does it again, and that qualified as one of your open threes, right?
Skip, you know how his daddy was. His daddy was like that.
And what a look at this. It's like I think, okay, maybe there's a chance here. You're down 4. Luka goes first inside,
post,
kick it back out, and he just drains it, and everything is just bottom of the net.
Skip.
And what beautiful form. He is a really pure three-point shooter.
What they did, they inserted him back into the starting lineup. Remember, at one point in time, Skip, during the season, they had him coming off the bench. That really doesn't suit his game. I understand the production that he gives you, the spark that he provides, but they inserted him back into the starting lineup. But your guys, the problem that you guys have, you have Kawhi, you have PG, you have Pat Bev and Serge Ibaka. Skip, their defense is on reputation only. Skip, those guys hadn't been good defensive players in a very long time. This is a reputation situation. This is how somebody else, well, he used to be like that. Even though the guy's changed, his reputation precedes him. Kawhi Leonard's reputation precedes him. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Pat Bev was on the all-defensive team. Serge Ibaka has led the league in blocks. Paul George is a great two-way player. But their reputation precedes them. They're not that now, Skip. You see it. And I've been telling you this all along. You don't want to see it. But now you got an opportunity to see it last night. You saw it up close and personal. They're not those defensive stoppers they once were.
I've been telling you all along, over the last 6 weeks of the season, they ranked 2nd overall in defensive efficiency because they were getting serious on defense. And then for whatever reason, maybe they did think the Mavericks were going to just lay down and die for them. They quit. There was no urgency or energy on defense. It was all on the offensive end.
Right.
I will give you that. You got me dead to rights. they're dead in the water. Now they have to go to Dallas, and I do not love their chances. I don't love their chances of winning either game. So I like Dallas's chances of sweeping this series. I am declaring it publicly. It smells like a sweep to me.
Well, Skip, you better buckle down on the defensive end. You better do that.
That's just pride.
Yeah,
that's just guts.
Thank you. Because Skip, there's really no score in the box score. Okay, block shots. But the offense, you shot this, you were 50% from the three. You were 60% from the field. Those guys look at those numbers, but you got to stop Luka. Somehow, Skip, you got to get the ball out of Luka's hand. Yep. If Luka come past half court, y'all need to trap him. Hey, force him to a corner and trap him. Because if you do not get the ball out of his hand, Skip, y'all can't beat him. Because he can do whatever he wants. If you go single, he killing Kawhi, he getting to the rim on Paul George. Pat Bev is just too small. I know Pat Bev is well-intended, but he's just too small, Skip. A great big man is going to be the great small man all the time.
Speaking of Patrick Beverley, brings Ty Lue into the equation because you know how big a fan I am of playoff Rondo. And I was out of my mind last night when Rondo played about 19 minutes and Patrick Beverley played over 23 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's just wrong because they were running much more smoothly with Rondo. I'll take Rondo over Pat Bev any day or night.
You taking me in there, huh? But you know who the most responsible for this? Doc Rivers. Mm-hmm. Because Doc Rivers
somewhere he was chuckling last night. No,
because it's the offense. You know, he's running all these pin downs and flares, and we needed guys with basketball IQ. That's what Kawhi said. We need basketball IQ. Yep. So Doc Rivers got Ray Cross the coals. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to know whose fault is it that they're playing like this currently?
Theirs.
Oh, okay. It was their fault all along. But Doc Rivers got scapegoated. But I tell you what, if you don't start playing better defense, Skip, you're not winning. Skip, if you let a team shoot 59% from the floor and 53% from the three-point line, who you beating? And they will just think of Skip. If you think about this, they shot damn near as good from the three as they did from the free throw line. Let that sink in for just a second.
Well, they did shoot as well.
They shot 54%, 54.2 versus 53.
Yeah, your man Luka, baby bird. It's such blasphemy you even make that comparison. He was 2 of 7 from the free throw line. Larry Bird was a dead-eye 90% free throw shooter. This guy can't shoot. He can't shoot.
Skip.
He can't shoot.
You
keep saying baby bird.
We got to keep it interesting.
You look foolish.
We got to keep it interesting because if he'd have made all his free throws, the game would have been over in the third quarter. Yeah. So we got to keep because everybody's watching the Lakers anyway. First and foremost, they're watching the Lakers.
Boy, according to my Twitter last night, they were watching the Clippers because I think Laker Nation, they want the Clippers to lose even more than they want the Lakers to win.
We don't worry about you.
Trust me.
We don't worry about you.
You're worried.
Because we upstairs shining our golden balls. We got 17, so that takes us like 2 hours while y'all downstairs looking at the division title banners.
Right now, we're not even downstairs. We're on the road. And we may have to stay on the road permanently.
Get out.
Yeah, we have been evicted.
No mercy. The Lakers evened their series with the Suns last night after a 109-102 victory. Chris Paul was limited for Phoenix, only playing 7 minutes in the second half as his injured right shoulder clearly bothered him. Still, the way AD and LeBron played down the stretch, it may not have made a difference. The duo combined for 19 points in the fourth quarter alone, and Frank Vogel raved about them after the game, saying, quote, "Those are 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA. We have a formula where those guys carry a big load, especially at crunch time." So, Shannon, what's the biggest reason the Lakers won this one?
Skip, I want to give LeBron and AD flowers because AD was aggressive last night, hence the 21 free throw attempts that he had. LeBron James was great when he absolutely needed to be, made big shot after big shot, big shot. But I believe the main reason that they won this ball game was Dennis Schroeder and Andre Drummond. Now, I told you, Skip, Drum, if you let him do what he does, Bron understands. He's like, he runs hard. He gets rebounds. He gives us extra chances. If I get him on a mismatch or if he gets his guy sealed, I'm going to give him the ball. And so now he stays engaged. He had a double-double at the half. Dennis Schroeder, they couldn't keep him out the lane. He's laying the ball up on everybody. Hit 2 big threes to keep him going, to keep that pace going. So I believe that was the difference in the ball game. Anthony Davis, 34 points, 10 rebounds, 3 block shots. Considering the game that he had 2 two nights earlier, he knew that was going to be unacceptable. And LeBron James, it just, what do I say? What do I say about the man that can give you a virtuoso at any given moment? But he's not a great shooter. I tell you all the time, regardless of the sport, being great requires you to be great in moments. What good is that if I got 7,500 home runs, but it's the bottom of the ninth and we down 1 and I can't get it? LeBron James ain't a great shooter. I can't tell. Them threes ask Phoenix is a great shooter. But the difference, you saw the difference in the ball game, Skip. Look, we're struggling from the three-point lines. There's no secret about that. Mainly KCP. And I love what LeBron did. LeBron swung the ball cross court. KCP has lost a lot of confidence. He passed the ball to Schroeder, and the shot clock goes out. LeBron goes straight to him. I didn't pass you the ball to pass it. Shoot it, KCP. Put his arms around him. Bro, we need you to shoot the basketball. That's what you do. That's what leaders do. He didn't beat him down, trying to boost him up because we know we're going to need KCP at one point. But, Skip, that was the difference. The Lakers played championship defense, and I just don't know without Chris Paul. I knew the Suns were in trouble, Skip, when you said they were getting ready for the tip. And I saw somebody had to help Chris Paul take his warm-up off. I said, that ain't good, Skip. When somebody got to help you take your clothes off, you in a bad predicament. And that's what I saw last night. So they're in a bad predicament. But O'Drum and Schroeder. Skip, hold on. Were they in Argentina, Peru, South Africa, the Falklands, the Galapagos? Because that's the only place you can see a penguin. I saw a big emperor penguin last night. 6'10" drum. You're going to eat them words. I told you you're going to eat them words about Andre Drummond. There's nothing wrong with Drum and AD playing together because when they played together last night, they were exemplary. Exemplary.
Okay. I withstood all of the garbage that just got spilled all over the table. And now it's finally my turn. I didn't interrupt. I didn't say, I didn't make a peep over here. But now the floor is officially mine.
Take it away.
I completely devalue and disqualify every last thing you said except for the last thing that you said. All you need to know about last night was that there was one Suns player who this year was actually in the MVP race. We actually discussed him as a legitimate, bona fide MVP candidate this year, and his name is Chris Paul III. Am I right about that? Thank you very much. Not Devin Booker, not DeAndre Ayton, CP3. So yesterday, both you and our man Chris Broussard tried to tell me, he'll be like 85%. I don't know if you put that percentage on it, but Chris Broussard said he'll be 85%. I said 85? He was 10% on Sunday,
right.
And I don't see any better than 10% last night.
Actually, he looked worse last night than he did on Sunday.
He was like 3% last night. He was so bad that Monty Williams decided to barely play him in the second half of that game, in which he totaled 1 point and 2 assists in the entire second half because he barely played. And the quote from Monty Williams after the game was, Chris wasn't even able to make passes he wanted to make. Couldn't even make passes. He was laboring. You could see that he wasn't even running the same way he was during shoot-around, the morning shoot-around.
Right.
So he wasn't even able to run with the bad shoulder the way he was in the morning, as he said. Well, now all bets are off.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, I'm here to declare, this series is now tied 1-1, and it is over. I predicted before the playoffs started that you would win this series in 5 games. I didn't see it happening like this.
Right.
But now you're going to win 3 more in a row, to give you 4 in a row, to give you 5-game, quote-unquote, gentleman's sweep of the Phoenix Suns. And it's sad because Chris Paul has regularly been hurt in big playoff series.
He does.
Just when you think he's in the right spot at the right time.
He got the worst look.
Up 3-2 when he was in Houston, obviously with James Harden, over Golden State. He pulls his hamstring. It's always something with Chris Paul.
They got hurt in Clippers, and the Clippers also.
He did. Got hurt in the Clippers. He actually came back from the quote-unquote dead to beat my Spurs in 2015 on the night of, or actually the afternoon of May 2nd. It was that night Pacquiao and Mayweather fought in Las Vegas. But the point is that here we go again with Chris Paul. I'm pretty sure he's He's basically shut down, done. So I don't even expect him to play. What are these games? This would be Thursday night, 7 o'clock.
I would shut him down and not play him until Sunday. That's what I would do.
Okay. So you're going to win Thursday night, and you were going to win last night. I told you on the show yesterday, this is a cakewalk. This is a mismatch. And what did the odds makers? They were screaming at you. What did I tell you yesterday? Wait, Phoenix was a 2.5-point favorite in game one, and all of a sudden the Lakers were a 2-point favorite last night. It was a 4.5-point swing, and it was strictly because those people who set those numbers, they know. Maybe they're getting some inside info that they shouldn't be privy to, but they're saying, no, he's hurt.
Exactly, Skip. You know what a great player, doesn't matter the sport. When he's injured, that's going to swing that line.
Okay, it swung it dramatically. And it swung the psychological advantage completely to the Lakers. So I give you, listen, AD came out, as he said, I'm going to come out and assert myself.
Right.
And he kind of over-asserted himself early. If we could see the kick play, please.
He hit it with that Draymond. That Draymond.
Yeah, well, that was beyond anything I've ever seen. That was way beyond Draymond. Here he is. Jay Crowder's up into him, and he just boots him right into the man region. Just nailed him. Kaboom.
Man, get up, Jay. That ain't hurt that bad. Jay Crowder.
It looked like a direct hit.
Yeah, man, stop.
Okay, so obviously AD said after the game it wasn't intentional. I have no history of doing this. It looked like it had some purpose to it. I got to tell you, I would err on the side of it was not intentional because of who he is and how he operates.
Right.
But I do think he was overamped. And I do think that their team had been rubbed a little raw by what Chris Paul did to LeBron the other day. And what is Chris Paul's legacy for cheap shots? They're below the belt shots. It started against Julius Hodge in the ACC tournament, right? When he was back at Wake. And the point is, it almost seemed like a subliminal kick from AD, like, I'm going to get even with you guys somehow, some way, because I've never seen him kick like that on a jump shot. Have you?
No.
I know you kicked to try to put a little more oomph into it to get it there, but it wasn't that deep.
I think what happened, Skip, is that once he felt the foul, he needed a little bit more oomph to try to get it. He was trying to get an and-one.
I got it, but it looked like it had a little purpose in the kick. And it was a flagrant one, and he deserved it, and we get that. But I think it was also part and parcel of AD said, I can't let the king down again.
Right.
I got to come out strong. And his history has been, when he comes out strong, he stays strong.
Skip, he said that he hit a three-point shot, and he was running back down the court. He said, I told you I got you. He said, I got you.
I saw that. Yep. Okay. Well, he got him. And by the way, if I can pull out my fourth quarter box here, I know Jenny just read that AD and LeBron combined for 19 points in the fourth quarter. AD had 14 and LeBron had 5. So let's not exaggerate that.
Whoa. Don't do this, Skip.
Yeah.
Don't do this.
14 and 5. I'm looking at the stats right here. 14 to 5.
AD shot 10 free throws.
Yeah, he did. Well, that counts. Do they count? And guess what? Not only did he shoot 10, he made 9. Did you see that, LeBron?
Hold on. But did you see the shots that LeBron was making in the fourth quarter, Skip?
I saw one good shot was the baseline turnaround. I'll give you that one.
No, what about the one at the top of the key? What about that three-point shot?
Okay, but that's front running. The game was way over. It was too. They put him up like 8.
I don't know if it was over.
No. Don't do it, Skip. See, why you do that?
I'm just doing it because that's what happened. So look at the look. Here's the shame of it. Remember, your team was up 15 mid-third quarter.
Right.
Remember, Chris Paul's not playing, so Phoenix has lost heart. And yet, the Lakers kind of sleepwalk into the fourth quarter. They're up 7
That's
at that
Frank
point.
Vogel's fault because Devin Booker checks back into the game and they don't get the ball out of his hand and he makes like 7, 8 straight points. And I'm like, Vogt, get the ball out of his hand.
Okay.
Make someone else cook. If Jay Crowder can do that, if Mikal Bridges, even Cameron Artis played, he played well the whole game, Skip. And they might have to go on him because he made some big shots, driving the ball, made some good passes. If somebody else, Devin Booker is not going to beat me.
Okay. So what happened with 5:39 left in the game? Phoenix came all the way back on an 8-and-dunk to be up 1 point. They were actually up 1 point. And guess who took over as you won the rest of the way? You won the rest of the game 20-12. You went on a 20-12 run, and 12 of those 20 were scored by Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
So as LeBron correctly said, after Sunday's game, basically we go as he goes. When he comes back to be an AD, then we'll be the Lakers
Well, it's
again.
kind of hard, Skip, for both of these guys to be aggressive because you don't want to get in the other guy's way. So it was AD started out. You see AD put his head down. He's like, I'm not selling for no jumpers on you, Jay Crowder. I'm going to pick up, he got 3 fouls on him in like the first 5 or 6 minutes of the ball game.
Yep.
Then he started going at 8 and got him in foul trouble also, Skip. But
Yep.
so LeBron was just, okay, AD, you eating. Even though you're not making shots, we going to the free throw line. Okay, boom, he sees the ball go in. LeBron said, now when y'all need me, I'm just a telephone call away. Or if you don't, put a message in a bottle. Hey, Jim, we got these shots because Skip Bayless keep telling me LeBron James can't shoot. LeBron James.
Well, he can't. The numbers scream.
Look
that
at
he
this right
can't
here.
shoot.
How is this, Skip? Is this a good? Wop wop.
Yeah.
What about that, Skip? What about this one, Skip?
You can cherry pick a few shots that he made.
Okay, what about this, Skip?
Yeah.
What about that one, Skip?
Okay.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
We to go. What about Skip?
I told you that's the best shot he made the whole game. Okay.
One hand on you, mama.
Yep.
And this is the ball game.
That puts you up 9. That puts you
Ball
up
game.
9, and you're over there raving about it. It's just shameful.
Ball game.
You should be ashamed.
Hold on, Skip.
You're raving about a front running. He's one of the great front runners. He is the greatest front runner in the history of this game.
That's what we call a dagger 3.
Okay, it was way over by then. And it should have been real close to the score that I picked, which was 105-90, except you kept fouling Devin Booker shooting threes.
Man, that's why nobody fouling Devin Booker. I don't know what the refs were thinking.
Okay, well, I don't either, but he made 6 straight free throws off 3-point shot fouls.
And he got and he made got an and one also.
That's right. That is correct. So in the end, if there's no Chris Paul, why are we even having this conversation? This series is defunct. It's over, and everything you just said is completely disqualified.
Well, hold on. Time out. Why is it that when somebody else loses a key player, oh, it's the end of the world? But LeBron James get injured, oh, he faking. Oh, he's not injured. But y'all didn't have that same energy when he had to play without Kevin Love and Kyrie. Where's that same energy? And he was playing with Dellavedova, Timothy Mozgov. Where was that energy then?
Well, I had it because he's up 2-1 in his house for Game 4, and he...
okay, guess what? They had a
he
1
went Harry Houdini, as in, I disappeared.
I'm glad you said that, because guess what? You were already up 1-0 in the series, and you had a 1-point lead. So you got to hold that. You got to hold that, Phoenix.
Okay, so here's the perspective. You like context and perspective.
I love context.
Here's context of what happened in the second half last night as Chris Paul watched from the bench. On the floor for Phoenix, you had these 5 players played the most. Jay Crowder, Ayton and Booker, obviously, and then you had Cameron Payne and Cam Johnson. Do you know what they totaled up in playoff games that they've been in? They had 88 total playoff games. That counted the game 1 that they all played in, okay? Last night, down the stretch, you had LeBron, AD, KCP, Schroeder, and Caruso. And if I total up all their games, they've played in 396 playoff games, 262 by LeBron. So it's 396-88. What?
Right.
And again, CP3 has played in 109, so we took that out.
Right.
So the playoff experience on the floor in the second half was a complete mismatch. That's why you guys could take over, because you're not threatened by that team without CP3.
But Payne was playing well. Cameron Payne played really well,
Okay.
Skip.
Guess what? This is his 5th NBA team that he's been on. Do you realize he played for a while in China, and then he had to come back and reprove himself in the G League, even to get to the Suns? That's the guy that you had to bank on if you're the Phoenix Suns.
But Monty Williams wanted him. When he got the job, he reached out and said, Cameron, I need you to join me in Phoenix. And he played well. He had 8 points in the fourth quarter. Give the man his credit. We're just a better team.
Well, I hope you are without CP3.
We're the better team.
I thought you were the better team with CP3 healthy.
CP3, C3PO, it doesn't matter. Star Wars, and Luke Skywalker, the Princess Leia, bring them on.
That's who he is.
Lakers in 5.
Yeah. I already called it in 5, so thank you for co-signing.
Chris Paul, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, any other Paul.
You know what? I would now take Jake Paul for sure over Chris Paul.
Lakers in 5.
Yeah. Jake Paul might just knock LeBron right out.
There you go. There you go.
I'd like to see them box.
We don't box.
Actually,
what we do, we play basketball.
You know what? LeBron wouldn't last a round with him.
Well, I know. I want you to say, what about Drum? You don't want to talk about Drum?
Who cares about
You don't want to talk about Drum? You beat him up. Everybody say Drum should be on the bench. Put him on the bench.
Well, let's wait until the next round and see when you face a real basketball team.
He's gonna be on the court.
Well, you know who else is making it look easy right now? The Nets. They got an easy 130-108 win over the Celtics last night to go up 2-0 in their opening round matchup. The series, it now shifts to Boston, where Kyrie Irving played before joining Brooklyn, as we know. And asked about the return after last night's win, Kyrie said, quote, "I am just looking forward to competing with my teammates, and hopefully we can just keep it strictly basketball. There's no belligerence or racism going on. Subtle racism. People yelling stuff from the crowd. It's part of the nature of the game, and we're just going to focus on what we can control." Shannon, do you like that he said this?
You want to be about basketball, but you bring up something other than basketball. Let's be all the way 100. Kyrie's 2 years in Boston was a failure.
I'd say.
That's what this
like
is about.
Abject.
Yeah, it was a failure.
Yes.
Now, I don't have a problem with him saying it, but Skip, you can't say I wanted to be, you can't say, well, I'm signing up for a math class, and then all of a sudden you get history. You signed up for the class.
Yep.
So what? But why are you talking about? I wanted to be about basketball. Say I'm looking forward to going back with my teammates. We're playing really well right now. We know I know Coach Stevens. I know those guys in the locker room. They're gonna come out with fire in their eyes and be ready to play. Okay, that's keeping it basketball. But once you take it somewhere else, well, everybody's gonna look at where you're talking about. And I'm not saying that he's not wrong. He's not lying.
Yep.
And people in Boston shouldn't be upset that he said it. You should be upset with your behavior, because people that actually played there talk about it, and visiting fans talk about it.
Yep.
So you need to correct your behavior, because for the longest time, Skip, that's just fans.
Yep.
No. You can yell and scream without being bigoted, without being saying racist and homophobic and all these slurs that you be using. But Kyrie, if you wanted to just keep it basketball, you should have just talked basketball. But once you took it there, now your other teammates, they're going to be asking, have you ever heard the Boston crowd say anything? Is this a normal? So I just don't like the fact that he wanted to keep it something, but he made it something else.
I did not know where you were going to go with that, but I am with what you just said. But I want to underscore what you also mentioned, which is Boston does have a racist legacy.
Yeah,
it has a racist underbelly, if you will.
It's there.
And if I can go back to the days of Mr. Russell, as in the great Bill Russell, who played for the Celtics from 1956 to 1969, he has said repeatedly, I played for a great organization filled with nothing but good people.
Right.
But I did not play for those fans, and I did not play for that city, because he heard nothing but racial slurs. Go back to Africa, he heard again and again. And he's underscored that I love the Celtics as an institution.
Right.
And here's the irony of what Kyrie said.
But nothing outside of that building did he love about Boston.
Okay, I got it. And by the way, the last Major League Baseball team to integrate was the Boston Red Sox. But here's the irony. Let's keep this in, like you say, context and perspective. Bill Russell was the first black coach in the NBA, because he was a player coach for the last two championships in 68 and 69, and there had not been any black coaches in the NBA until he did that.
Right.
And by the way, the Celtics in 1950 were the first to ever draft a black player named Chuck Cooper. And by the way, on December 26th of 1964, the Boston Celtics were the first NBA franchise to start 5 black players. And for our older viewers, I'm going to run through them. It was Mr. Russell, and it was Willie Knowles, and it was Satch Sanders. You remember Satch? And then Sam.
I heard Mr. Russell talk about Satch.
Yeah, and Sam and Casey Jones.
Sam and Casey Jones,
Okay, these are first breakthroughs for the Celtics organization in what many saw as a racist city with racist fans. Okay,
So it's a situation where they do the right thing.
Yeah,
where Mookie is talking to him, it's like, bro, all your favorite people are black, but all you say is N.
Okay,
and so he's like, Mr. We winning all these championships, but still, as soon as I take this 6 off, I'm back.
Okay. So Kyrie spoke out last night on the anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. So it had gravity to it. You want to talk about perspective?
Yes.
The moment he sees that moment.
Right.
And I know how deeply it affected Kyrie, because he talked about it many times. In fact, it so shook him that he wasn't able to play for a while this year, right? So now we get into what he said. You can say he was trying to head it off at the pass. He was trying to plant the seeds of doubt in the minds of the fans who might scream something that could be interpreted as racist. But now we get to that fine line. If they boo him, is that racist?
No. They should boo. Skip, I believe, the thing is, I mean, they probably just going to boo him because he said that. But I thought they may, when he comes out to introduce Kyrie Irving, yay. But every time he touches the ball, boo.
Okay, fine.
But I don't know if he's going to get that, Skip.
Okay, if they chant, if a bunch of white fans chant, Kyrie sucks, is that racist? No. I don't think it. No. You could say it comes from a racist place. You could argue that.
Right.
We'll never be able to prove it one way or the other because who knows what's in the depths of a man's or woman's mind, right?
No. We know when it's bigoted. We know when it crosses the line. You start calling somebody monkey, you start calling somebody boy, Skip, now you're stepping over the line, and we understand that. And for the longest time, people are like, oh, that's sports. We're trying to get you. No. No, you can say I suck. You can say I'm not any good.
Okay.
But when you step over the line, you're going too far. Even as a fan, you got a right to cheer, but you don't get a right to call me out my name.
Okay, so let's look at Kyrie's history with the Celtics. He obviously wanted out from under LeBron. He said, trade me, and he got traded to a pretty good team. Very good team. A young team, but a good one.
Yes.
And a good organization with, I think, a good GM, and it's well-run, good, strong ownership. And he goes there, and in January of 2019, he publicly stated, the young guys here have no idea what it takes to win a championship, thereby throwing all young guys on the team, lots of them upcoming stars, right under the Kyrie bus.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And then after he had sort of pledged allegiance to the franchise, I want to resign here, then later that same month, he said about resigning, ask me on July 1st. Well, that about shot that down, right? Because it indicated I went out of here, right?
Yeah.
And then remember what happened at the All-Star game? He's seen up in the tunnel with KD going they got two max contracts. He's talking, obviously, about the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
Okay, so that didn't play very well with those fans, right, in Boston. And then here we go. They obviously had lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to LeBron, remember, and it went all 7 games. And guess who wasn't around?
Kyrie.
Kyrie was hurt because his knee had flared back up, and he had screws in his knees, and he was done for that year. So he wasn't even around, and the youngsters took LeBron all the way to the brink, right?
And then he comes back next year, and I think they go out in the first or the second round.
Well, they won the first round, but then they went out in 5 to the Bucks. They won the first game. They won by 22.
Right.
In the last 4 games against the Milwaukee Bucks, Kyrie averaged 14, 4, and 5 with 4 turnovers a game. And from the floor, he shot 30%. And from three-point, he shot 19% in those 4 games. He was 5 of 27.
Right.
Is that good?
No, it's not good.
No, it's not good.
And then,
so that's the lingering memory of Kyrie Irving in Boston. That's that was his legacy playoff round.
Well, Skip, you can't tell someone you want it to be about this, but the first thing and then the next thing out of your mouth is that. Because now people are going to be talking about this, and I don't know how much focus is going to be on the basketball game. Now, it seems to me the Celtics are overmatched. I don't know.
I'd say.
I don't think Kyrie had to say anything, and just watching at this, I just don't know how they ever finish a game inside 15, 20 points of beating the Brooklyn Nets. I just don't see it.
They won the first one by 11, the second one last night by 22, and they look like a tour de force to me.
Yeah, Skip, I don't have a problem. I mean, because what Kyrie is saying is true. Boston has that history. It's there. But if you want to make it about basketball, you probably want to stick to the topic of basketball. And then if that's something, but like you said, maybe it was the George Floyd, and it was just heavy on his mind. He wanted to get that out there.
Yep.
But you brought attention to something that I don't know if anybody else was going to talk about, especially given this moment. And you brought attention to it. And it's not, I don't know if it's going to be about basketball.
Okay. So I have no issue with what he brought up.
No,
there's too much validity to it.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
But
remember Adam Jones, Skip, with the Orioles.
Yet, you are taking the focus off a Nets team that is playing the best basketball of anybody in this postseason tournament, right?
Yes.
They are playing on both ends of the floor with high IQ and high urgency and energy on both ends. And I cannot believe how these three superstars share the ball on offense because there's no issue going on there.
And KD being KD again, which is great.
He'll take 12 shots and he made 8 of them, and all of a sudden you look up and he's got 26 points and he's got 8 rebounds and 5 assists. Well, that'll work.
And then he blocking shots, keep coming from the weak side and knocking everybody's shots up in the stand. I mean, look.
And listen, Joe Harris is not just a good shooter. He might be. He's right up there with anybody.
Yeah, he can get streaky. Whew. Now, he's not going to be consistent like Steph or Clay or Dame.
No, but 7 out of 10 last night, that'll work.
Yeah.
He literally just shot them right in the heart.
Yeah,
it was over fast.
He gets like that, and you got those other 3 guys, Skip, you ain't beating them. You're not beating them.
Yeah, and listen, they defend at a high level when they feel like it. And they feel like it right now.
And if Jason Tatum can't play because he got poked in the eye.
I don't know.
No mercy. The Clippers are down 0-2 to the Mavericks and now face a virtual must-win as the series shifts to Dallas on Friday. However, for better or worse, LA is still confident they'll get the job done, with Ty Lue telling reporters he wasn't concerned at all. Lue continued, quote, "We got to win 4 games, and you come onto the opposing team's floor and you play. There's no pressure on you to make shots because you're just trying to come in and steal 1 game or 2 games. Now they got to go home and try to keep up the same shooting. It's easy to come on the road and do that when there is no pressure." So, Shannon, did you like that he said this, and what do you expect in games 3 and 4?
Skip, I expected him to say this. But I don't believe him. I don't know if he believes himself, Skip. They came in your building, and you said you rested. You wanted to be healthy. You're fully healthy. There's nobody out. You have Serge back. You have all your guys playing on all cylinders. And they've come into your building and done this. So I get what he's saying. But I remember hearing something similar last year, Skip. They was up 3-1. And then all of a sudden it was 3-2. Oh, we ain't got nothing. Paul George, we ain't got no pressure. They still got to win. And then it was 3-3. Ain't no pressure on us. Hey, they got to win a 4th game. They got to win 1 more game. And we're in our building. And guess what? They lost 3 straight. Now, they've lost 5 straight ball games when what seemingly wasn't no pressure on them. They didn't have anything to lose. Yes, you do. You know why? Because you're one of the teams, one of the 3 or 4 teams that all year, Skip, that says this team has a chance to win a championship. Nobody talked about the Mavericks winning the championship. Let's go back and look at the odds makers, what Fox Bet said and what some of these other gaming houses said the odds were for the Mavericks. And let's see what the Clippers were. All the pressure is on the Clippers. You're supposed to have the 2 best players on the court all the time. And Luka Doncic is the best player on the court thus far in this series. And if you can't get him under wraps, you're not going to be able to beat the Dallas Mavericks. So I don't have a problem with what T. Lue said. He has to send that confidence, Skip. He's the leader of the team. And you don't want to be like, man, yeah, we got our work cut out for us because right now we don't, whatever we seem to be doing is not working. No, I want a show of strength. We ain't worried. Hey, they still got to win 4 games. It's only 2. So they're halfway there. I like our chances. I like what we got. We still have Paul George. We still have a great team. Our mindset is in the right place. I love him saying all that. But do you think, after what you saw these first 2 games, he actually believed that? Absolutely not. Now, once upon a time, he was down 3-1, and he had a guy. But that was a guy.
Kyrie.
Hey, see, there you go, Skip. You ruined my story.
The guy who made the last shot that won the game.
I do not believe T. Lue deep down inside, Skip, believes that he has nothing to worry about. He knows he has to worry because this team can smell blood. And Skip, the thing is, they believe they can beat them because of the way they played them last year, Skip, minus Porzingis. And Luka was hobbled. That's the worst thing you could do with someone is give them hope that they can beat you because now they'll play out of their mind.
I believe the Dallas Mavericks will continue to shoot out of their minds at Dallas in games 3 and 4, which will take place at 8:30 Dallas time on Friday night and then 8:30 again on Dallas time on Sunday.
Right.
I believe this series is way over, but I will admit to you, I was surprised by what Ty Lue said, and I kind of liked what he said.
Yes.
Because there is some validity in the big picture. If you look at history, reverting to the mean, as they say, that this will happen, that Dallas will have a hard time shooting the ball the way they shot it at the Clippers, because who can shoot like that for 4 straight games, let alone 2 straight?
San Antonio did to the Heat.
Okay, to LeBron's Heat.
Yeah.
By a record finals margin, okay? That's one. You got me. But as Ty Lue said, look, he's trying to publicly say there's no panic in me, there's no desperation in me.
But you can't play, T. Lue.
Okay, I got it. But he said, I've been an underdog my whole life. I've been fighting from way down low my whole life.
Yes.
And he has.
Yes.
So he didn't even flinch. He didn't crack a smile. He didn't do anything. He was just stone-faced when he just flat out stated, just laid it right on the table, that it's hard to go home and keep shooting like that because the pressure will start to grow on the home team to make the same shots that they made with no pressure at Clippers. Remember, they were 6-point underdog the first game. They were 6.5 last night.
Right.
Did anybody really expect them to win 2 games to the Clippers?
No.
You didn't.
No.
Who did you pick in the 2 games? Well, you picked the Clippers.
Right. But let me ask you a question, Skip. Does the pressure not mount on the road team knowing that you're down 0-2? So why did it's not like you? I would rather be going home up 2-0 as opposed to be going on the road down 0-2.
Okay, but who has the deeper reservoir of confidence? Well, the Clippers led the league in 3-point shooting, and they led the league in free throw shooting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say it again. The Clippers ranked 18th in 3-point shooting. They ranked 15th in free throw shooting.
No, you mean the Mavericks.
I'm sorry, the Mavericks. Ranked 18th in 3-point shooting.
Okay.
15th in free throw shooting,
right,
and then 14th in field goal shooting. So they're middle of the pack at best in shooting the basketball. Well, won't they revert to form at some point in the series? The odds are, yes, they will.
Well, if you were playing a defensive team, but your guys don't play defense, Skip, your guys are reputation-based now.
Okay.
Kawhi is not that same defender.
Okay,
neither
remember,
is Paul George.
The Mavericks have played mad in the first 2 games because they thought the Clippers disrespected them by tanking to get to them.
Yes.
Okay, now that's going to wear off a little bit, and now they're expected to win, and I'm sure that I haven't looked at what the line is yet. Maybe, I'm not sure we even have one yet, but watch, they'll be favored by, I assume,
1.5, 2 points.
Huh? 3 or 4
2
points, maybe.
You think so?
Yeah. But hey, they've just been wiping them out. They've had no answer for anybody. So here's the point of last night. I told you, I didn't mind Luka making 5 out of 13. He's a career 33% 3-point shooter. It didn't bother me that much. What bothered me is that Tim Hardaway Jr. made 6 of 8 threes. That's a killer. What killed me was that Porzingis made 3 of 4 threes. What just shot me right in the heart was Kleba took 2 threes and made them both. How can you beat that? That's 3 starters who made 11 of 15, and then the other starter, 5 of 13 is Luka.
Yep.
Well, that for him, he's shooting out of his mind, but that you can live with that because that's only like 38%, which is a little better than his 35 this year. But still, will those guys, will Porzingis and Hardaway shoot the ball like they did? I doubt it.
Could I ask you a question, Skip? What is in the history of the history of the Clippers that says, you know what, we've been so mentally tough? Because you remember, Skip, they've been up 3-1. And lost the series on several occasions. So what is it?
And by the way, you remember that they won those first 3 games against Denver last year by double digits.
Yes.
They were just rocking and socking them. And it was hard to fathom that all of a sudden you can't find the basket after you won the first 3. Well, that could happen. Listen, the Dallas Mavericks with Luka at the helm have shown occasionally to be a little fragile psychologically. They have. Listen, Luka, if it starts to go wrong, he'll start to point fingers. His body language gets terrible. He hangs his head.
But the body language for your guys was terrible last night, Skip.
Well, I got it. But that was because it's their house, and they're shooting them in the heart in their own house.
But
do you know how lethal the 3-point shot is? It's just psychologically devastating. And every time, I have a thing when I'm watching at home, when somebody launches one and it's a high degree of difficulty, I just say no. And every time they did one of those last night, no would swish. And I finally said, I can't say that anymore. So when they start shooting, when Luka starts shooting in the second half, I'd say, that's good. And it wouldn't be good because he had a long, hard second half shooting threes. He wasn't nearly as devastating in the second half as he was in the first half.
But Skip, I think it's time for us to come to the conclusion, come to the realization that what you thought was going to be a strong suit of the Clippers, starting last year when they constructed this team, was mental toughness.
Right. We'll see.
Is we haven't seen that mental toughness, Skip, that you talked about and so many others talked about.
Chris talked about it. Chris Broussard even more than I did.
Yes.
He said the Clippers have that dog in them. Now, that was with Lou Will and Montrez, and they're gone, obviously.
They must be talking about Papillons or Chihuahuas or, something like that. But they ain't talking about no real dogs.
Bichons?
Yeah. I can't tell. Skip, but you keep telling me Luka is this, he not. But Skip, you got to get a man the credit. Go on and get Baby Bird. Just call him Baby Bird one time.
You'll feel better. He can't shoot. So I checked this out. Larry Bird missed 4 free throws twice in 164 playoff games. Luka's played 8 playoff games so far. He's missed 4 or more, 5 out of the 8 games. He can't shoot free throws. He's disqualified. Sorry.
You do realize that when Larry Bird was Luka's age, he was at Indiana State.
Okay. Could he make free throws at Indiana State? You better believe he could. 90%.
See, this man got his mama house. He paid. There's one thing, you shooting free throws in a dorm. It's another thing to shoot free throws for a living.
Okay. I will bet you in Game 3 that the home team Mavericks don't shoot better than 40% from 3. Last night they shot 53%. They won't go 40 or better.
They're going to win.
Okay. Well, you're probably right. The odds are they're going to win.
There ain't no odds.
Yeah.
And so, what about this, Skip? Has it ever dawned on you? I mean, when you laying in bed and you're like, man, I got to get up in a few hours. The Mavericks
3 hours. I got to get up in 3.
Yeah. The Mavericks might just be better than the Clippers. Did it dawn on you?
They're not better.
They just might be better.
They're having a hot shooting streak fueled by anger that the Clippers, quote unquote, tanked to get them. That's all that's happened so far. And it might be that would wear off. So I love Ty Lue playing a little gamesmanship to plant seeds of doubt in the Mavericks' minds of, hey, you ain't that good from 3.
So let me ask you,
history would tell you, 72 games of history would say, you can't do that again.
You're saying that's what you're hoping. You're not hoping that your guys can just beat them because you're better. You're hoping that they can't continue what they're doing.
Correct.
Do you believe Luka can continue what he's doing?
Sure. He'll do, as far as the final stats.
There you go.
Yes. So he will get his 30 and 7 and 8. He'll get those. I will give you that. But that won't beat the Clippers unless Tim Hardaway makes 6 threes.
The wide open threes will, though.
Yeah.
No mercy. The Lakers even their series with the Suns last night after a 109-102 victory. Chris Paul was limited for Phoenix, only playing 7 minutes in the second half, as his injured right shoulder was clearly bothering him still. And the way AD and LeBron played down the stretch, it may not have made a difference either way. The duo combined, yes, they combined for 19 points in the fourth quarter, and Frank Vogel raved about them after the game, saying, quote, "Those are 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA. We have a formula where those guys carry a big load, especially at crunch time." Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us now. Chris, how about this? Scale 1 to 10, how impressive was the Lakers win?
I'm going to say a 6, Jen. Look, first let me give props to Anthony Davis. He was beaten up over the last 2 days for letting DeAndre Ayton outplay him in Game 1, and he answered the bell. Great game, offensively and defensively. Had the 3 blocks, had the late block on DeAndre Ayton in the paint, which was tremendous. So AD played an outstanding game, so I'm going to give him his props because I ripped him after that first game. LeBron is looking like the wise elder, like the grandmaster in chess. I mean, he is just offensively, he seems to be making every right play. He's playing with his smarts, with his savvy, with his poise. And his jump shot, I've never seen him shoot like this. Like, his jumper is just falling. I mean, he made some tremendous shots last night. Obviously, the dagger three-pointer with 48 seconds left. So, and he doesn't quite have his athleticism. We see that. He's not really going into the paint. Yeah, he exploded on the breakaway dunk in the first half. But for the most part, he's not driving the lane. I think he feels like he's not sure how high he's getting up and finishing in traffic. So, but I think over time that'll come. And so if he's playing like this with the floor game, plus when he gets his athleticism back, that's good for the Lakers. Defensively, they were terrific. So the Lakers just played a great game. I like that they played big. I've been begging them on this show. If you're going to play Drummond and AD together, then play big. Don't play a finesse game when those two are on the floor together. And I thought last night both Drummond and AD went in the paint more. AD had a nice balance, wasn't just on the perimeter. He was inside a lot. The reason I only give him a 6 is because they did not demoralize Phoenix. They didn't take their heart, and they let Phoenix still think it can win this series. I wanted them to close the door, put it in Phoenix's mind that this is over. You are facing the defending champs. Nice game won, but you're going down. I don't think Phoenix feels that way. They've played the Lakers tough without Chris Paul for the most part, limited to 23 minutes yesterday, and was only mediocre in those minutes because of his shoulder. Devin Booker can feel rightly like, I've been the best player on the floor in this series. And DeAndre Ayton looks like a future all-star. He looks like just about the perfect type of big man you would want for the NBA today. So Phoenix still has life. I think the Lakers are winning it, but in Phoenix's minds, they were not demoralized, and they're not at that point where they realize, okay, we're just facing a superior team. We can't win this thing. A lot of times teams get to that point, but Phoenix is not there, so I only gave the Lakers a 6.
Well, I only gave him an 8 because Chris Paul wasn't able.
8?
Yeah, I gave him an 8.
Only an 8?
Only 8. Because Chris Paul wasn't able to play his allotted minutes. And had he been there, I'm not so sure the outcome would have been different. Because Cameron Payne gave them great minutes, Chris. He gave them great minutes off the bench. Yep. He did a great job of shooting the ball. He found some guys driving to the basket. And this was a true road playoff game, Skip. They say the crowd estimated about 12,000. And I love the way AD bounced back. Frank Vogel said, we got a formula. Most formulas are secret. Like the secret to KFC. You don't know what's in those chicken herbs and spices. You don't know what that is, Chris. Some of your grandma's recipes. She won't tell you exactly what she put in there, but that thing be tasting good. Our formula for success is no secret. It's 6'9" and 6'10". One's from Akron.
No, it's 6'10".
Yeah, see, there you go, Skip. There you go. And one is from the west side of Chicago, Anthony Davis. Got it going. Anytime somebody shoots 21 free throws, Chris, it lets you know they're aggressive. And then when he hit that 3, he looked at Bron and said, I got you. I said, I told you I got you. Well, Bron said, well, since you got me, let me go and nail this thing shut. But I believe the biggest difference in this game last night, and you left one guy out. I like Drummond, and I told you, Chris, you know what? Bron will give Drummond the ball. If he gets a mismatch or he gets his guy sealed way down, LeBron will give it to him. No one else understands how to feed the post because Anthony Davis really doesn't spend a whole lot of time in the post. Bron knows how to feed the post, but Dennis Schroeder might have played one of his better games all year because he was aggressive. He was getting to the lane. He made a couple of threes, and he made his free throws. I believe those were give LeBron and AD their flowers. We knew they had to play well. But if Schroeder and Drum doesn't play like they play, I'm not so sure we still win that game, even with Chris Paul out the floor. But moving forward, they're demoralized because you know why? They know Chris Paul is going to be a shell of himself. You're not beating the Lakers without a healthy Chris Paul. I'm not so sure you could beat him if you had a healthy Chris Paul. But hey, it doesn't matter. Chris Paul, Cliff Paul, Jake Paul, Logan Paul. Lakers in 5 now, Chris.
And he might as well now be Cliff Paul. Chris Broussard, this series is tied 1-1, and it is over. I picked Lakers in 5 before it started, and I actually thought that Chris Paul was going to be healthy. The Phoenix Suns had one player in the MVP conversation over the last month, and it was not Devin Booker. It was CP3, who has now become CP0. And, Chris, I got to call you on what you predicted yesterday. You predicted that CP3 would be 85% last night.
75.
I think I heard 85, but 75. That's what I wrote down. I don't know.
I thought
I'll give you 75. Well, the truth was he was...
It was wrong either way.
He was 3%. And as Monty Williams said after the game, I had to pull him in the second half because he couldn't make the passes he usually makes. And he couldn't even, said Monty Williams, run the way he was running in shoot-around that morning. That it was debilitating. The pain from the shoulder even affected his gait.
Right.
Well, that's not good.
And Skip, you'd have thought as he warmed up, because for shooting around, you're not really warm. And he's like, okay, he's moving pretty good. So by the time we get warm, gets a little more treatment, he just crashed.
He was an offensive liability.
Yeah.
This game was, as I predicted yesterday, a mismatch. This was the best bet of the night, was to take the Lakers, who opened as a 2.5-point underdog in game one, which surprised me, and then they went all the way to a 2-point favorite last night, strictly because the odds makers knew Chris Paul would not be even remotely close to Chris Paul. So he barely played in the second half. He totaled 1 point and 2 assists in the second half, and it psychologically demoralized the Suns. The Lakers went up 15 mid-third quarter and just hit cruise control, and it was pretty shameful that they let Phoenix creep back into the game with Cameron Payne running the point and shooting threes. He's on his 5th NBA team. For a while, he played in China. He had to come back and reprove himself in the G League even to get the deal with the Suns. So I'm sorry, I can't get all hyped about Cameron Payne beating the Lakers in games 3 and 4 at Staples. It ain't happening.
I just think they should probably, Chris, I told Skip earlier, I believe they should rest Chris Paul for this Thursday game and try to get him as healthy as I possibly can. And I don't know how many people at home has ever had a stinger, but I remember I was playing fullback in 1992 and I hit Ken Norton, and my head didn't.
Fullback?
I was playing fullback.
Why were you playing fullback?
I was an H-back fullback. You know how I did.
Oh, you had been Tim Tebow. You're playing in the Tebow position. Got it. Thank you.
But I hit Ken Norton, and my neck did the same thing. And Skip, the pain that I felt, I looked at him, and I looked at me. He looked at me, and I looked at him. I was like, "You felt that?" You're like, "Yeah, I think I got a stinger." I said, "Yeah, I know I got one." And the only thing that, like I said, but I didn't have to play. If I'd had to play 2 days later, ain't no way I'm playing. I missed a week of practice and was able to get back after they got.
Obviously, a stinger happens when one of your cervical discs up in your neck goes a little sideways and hits a nerve, and you just get a bolt down your.
You cry.
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't think. It'll make you cry.
And remember, when he was writhing, he was going down his arm. He was holding, like rubbing his arm.
It's like a burning. It's like a tingling sensation.
All the way to the tips of your fingers.
All the way. So I know what Chris Paul is going through because he's a right-handed player. How the hell you a right-handed player, Chris, and you got to dribble the ball, you got to shoot the ball, you try to pass the ball. You can't do that with one arm.
So I think you just made my case for me. Thank you very much. Because, Chris, on the impressive scale of 1 to 10, I'll give the Lakers a 1, maybe just because they did hold them off and win the game. But how can you give it a 6 or an 8 when there's no Chris Paul? He's the driving force of the Phoenix Suns. He's the reason that they were where they were this year. They were vying for the 1 seed because of Chris Paul.
You ain't say nothing about that when LeBron's ankle was hurting. You didn't say anything about that.
He's just fine.
Right.
The one-legged LeBron.
Yeah.
So, Chris,
No,
go ahead.
I thought, and you know this, Shannon, from the stinger, a lot of times a stinger doesn't even last a full day. It can last a couple hours, sometimes. And then with Monty Williams talking after practice Monday, saying Chris is a lot better, he won't be nearly as sore. I thought it might be a stinger that goes away relatively quickly. Obviously, that's not the case. It's not a bad idea to rest him. But Skip, in the playoffs, it's win in advance. So whether they win by 25 or they win on a buzzer beater, the Lakers will take it. Now they have home court advantage. I still don't think the Suns are demoralized because I think Devin Booker is built a certain way. And I think he's learned from Kobe. He used to listen to Kobe, and Kobe's told him some things about the Mamba mentality. So I think he's coming out there thinking, I can beat these Lakers, even though they can't.
Okay, I got you, but did you notice that Devin Booker last night was 0 for 3 from 3? You're not going to win your home game if your shooting star, can't make a couple of threes.
He was 7 of 17.
Sorry.
They got bailed out from the free throw. They called 3 fouls on 3-point shots that there weren't no foul, Chris. They gave Devin Booker 10 points in the fourth quarter on them bogus free throws. But that was LeBron said, I got that. Don't worry about it. You see old GOAT what he did down the stretch, Chris? I know you was liking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, I got to go back to what Chris said.
I like that attitude.
Chris said that he's never seen LeBron's jumper falling like this. So let's go back to game 1, fourth quarter. LeBron was 1 for 4 from the floor, 0 of 3 from 3, and 1 of 4 from the free throw line. But his jumper's falling like crazy. Then last night in the fourth quarter, LeBron has 5 points to AD's 14 points, but his jumper's falling like crazy.
But you see,
I don't know.
But you see what he do?
You see that baseline turnaround?
He had one. He had one.
Three-point
He had a front-running three. That put him up 9.
But Chris,
way to go.
Chris, you see what he does? LeBron James going crazy the first 3 quarters. And then he talk about, well, the fourth quarter. Okay, LeBron doesn't do anything in the first 3 quarters. He turns it on in the fourth quarter. But what did he do the first half? They kept him afloat. So LeBron can't win. All I know is we got to win. Survive in advance.
All I know is the Lakers go as Anthony Davis goes.
Okay, that's fine, Skip.
Well,
you see what he tried to do, Chris? He's trying to cause a dissension between us, but we don't do that.
LeBron was coasting. LeBron's coasting on offense. He got after it defensively. Like Shannon said, he was getting after it. But offensively, he's taking his time. He's coasting because he know he got a long postseason to go.
Long postseason.
No mercy.
Saturday on Fox, it's an NL East showdown on Baseball Night in America as the Braves battle the Mets or the Giants face the Dodgers or Brewers Nationals. That's Saturday, 7 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. So check local listings to figure out the game in your area. Well, guys, the Mavericks took a 2-0 series lead on the Clippers after a 127-121 victory at Staples. Dallas had another great shooting night in which they shot 18 of 34 from three-point range, and Baby Bird himself, Luka Doncic, led the way with a team-high 39 points. But despite 41 points for Kawhi and 28 for Paul George, the Clippers just couldn't make stops when it mattered down the stretch. LA has now lost 5 straight playoff games dating back to their collapse in the Orlando bubble last year. Chris, okay, what is the biggest reason the Mavs are up 2-0 at this point?
Luka legend.
Baby Bird.
Baby Bird.
Baby
Cool
Bird.
Hand Luka. Swaggy L. How many more ways can I say it?
Yep.
Luka Doncic. Skip. Don't be on the wrong side of history. Don't be on the wrong side of history. Get off that Luka hate train right now while you have a chance.
Nope, I won't let it.
All right, you stayed on that side with LeBron. Get off of it with Luka now. It's early. You got time. This dude is bad, man. He's a bad boy, and he is the best player in this series, and that is why they're winning. Now, let me give props to the other guys. Tim Hardaway Jr. has shot the ball lights out, shooting 64% from 3 in this series. Kristaps Porzingis is playing well. Jalen Brunson, who missed the entire playoff series last year against the Clippers, he was in the running for 6th Man of the Year. He's a nice little player. But the reason they're getting these open looks, and Skip, you know this, covering the league longer than me. Whenever you have you been in the gym with NBA players when nobody's around and they're just shooting by themselves or even before the game? They hit all the shots.
They do.
Just about any of the players. It's amazing. You can take a guy that's not a really good shooter or not known as a good shooter, but you see him shooting threes in practice and he's draining them. That happens all the time. So NBA players can hit threes when they're open. And the Mavericks have gotten 61 open or wide open. That's the definition by the analytics. 3-pointers this series, they've hit 49% of them. So if you get them open threes, they're going to hit them. And why are they getting open threes? Because of Luka Doncic. When the Clippers have to double him, he's a great passer. He's got vision. He's tall. So he's finding the open man, and they're hitting the shots. And Skip, the Clippers don't want none of Luka. They don't want to guard him. You saw yesterday how easily they were giving up the switch.
Yeah!
Right? The Mavericks weren't setting these massive picks, stout picks at the top of the key that you just can't get over. The Clippers were giving it up way too easily, barely trying to get over the picks. Most times. There are a few times they got over, but for the most part, they just went to the switch, and Luka's got the mismatch. He can penetrate and score. We know that. And you keep saying he's a bad three-point shooter. He's not a great three-point shooter, but he's a good three-point shooter. And last night, we saw him hit a couple from 30-plus feet. So Luka Doncic, man, Luka legend, swaggy L, all that. He's the reason.
I keep trying to tell Skip, that's the reason why. I mean, he had 31, 10, and 11 in game 1, followed up 39, 7, and 7 in game 2. In the 8 games, Luka's only played 8 playoff games. They've all been against the Clippers. He's averaging 32, 10, and 9. Now, you remember one of those games, they blew the Clippers out, and he ended up having like a triple-double, 11-11, but he only played 20-something minutes. So imagine what his numbers would have been had he not played that little bit of time. But think about this. You got 41 from Kawhi. You got 28 from Paul George. So that's 69 points. And you still lost. What 2 players you know can give a team 69 points and they lose? If the Lakers get 69 points from AD and LeBron, you think they losing? If Dame and CJ gives you 69 points, you think they losing? If KD, any 2 of the big 3 in the New Jersey, you think they losing? Y'all lost because you don't play defense. Chris, I've said this before. The guys that are on that team are reputation-only defenders now. Kawhi's getting by because he won 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Paul George and what he's done in the past. Pat Bev and Serge Ibaka. They can't see this kid. This kid, and he won't let them. A lot of times, he's not letting them off the hook because he'll take it to the rim, or he getting that little step back from about 8 to 10 feet. But boy, he was cooking it last night. He said, snatching chains. I call him, you like Debo. Give me your chain, Kawhi. Give me your chain, Paul George. Pat Bev. I want to know where Pat Bev and Paul George, all that key-key-keying they was doing in the bubble when Dame Lillard missed that shot. Where's that key-key-keying now, Chris? Everybody. Paul George had his head down during the press conference. I don't want to see your cornrows. I want you to look into the camera and say, Baby Bird is the best player on the floor right now, Skip. You know it. And I told you, and I'm going to tell you this again, Skip Bayless. Sometimes a man can make his destiny on the very road he took to avoid it. They avoided it.
Grandmother or grandfather? Which one? I forget. Maybe grandmother?
Skip,
okay.
you know it in your heart of hearts, Skip. They tanked to avoid the Lakers or to avoid Portland, Chris. They did that because they wanted, we got the Mavs. We got the Mavs. Well, you got what you didn't think you wanted.
So, thank you for bringing that up. That's my first point. I blame you and I blame Chris Broussard for what happened in games 1 and 2 at Staples because you were the two who fueled the media myth that the Clippers, quote unquote, tanked.
They did.
Chris Broussard even called it yellow fever.
Yeah.
On the air, on Undisputed, used the term yellow fever, thereby sending the signal to the Mavericks that they had been disrespected by the Clippers, who merely were resting their stars, their sometimes fragile superstars, so they would be completely healthy for games 1 and 2, which they were, at least physically healthy, maybe not mentally healthy. They ran into a buzzsaw of angry Dallas Mavericks who came out with fire in their eyes because they thought they had been disrespected by the Los Angeles Clippers, which is completely bogus, fraudulent, bunch of phony baloney spewed by this man and that man, Chris Broussard. You guys started it and they finished it for you. Maybe that won't apply in games 3 and 4 back in Dallas. Maybe that'll start to wear off that anger that they played with. But they shot out of their minds. They were 18th in three-point shooting. They just made 35 of 70 three-point shots in my career. I've never seen anything quite like it. Now back to the biggest shame of this segment right now. I am so ashamed of you and you because you know enough to know just how great a shooter Larry Bird really was. I fear, genuinely fear, somehow through this ceiling in this Fox studio, I'm going to get struck by lightning even saying these words out loud. Luka Doncic does not belong in the same breath as Baby Bird with the great Larry legend, Larry Joe Bird from French Lick, Indiana, who could just shoot the lights out in the clutch. So, Chris, you say, I got to get on the train. What train? It's off the tracks in the fourth quarter. Luka Doncic scored 1 point in Game 1's fourth quarter and a grand total of 4 last night in the fourth quarter. He made 2 of 7 free throws. 2 of 7? Larry Bird was a 90% free throw shooter. This year, Luka Doncic had his best year from 3. You say he's a good three-point shooter. Baloney! He from 3 this year, he was 35%. That ranked 123rd of 156 qualified NBA real free three-point shooters. And for his career, his 3 years, He's averaged 33% from three. That is putrid. That is horrible. That ranks 264th in the NBA. And you're telling me he's a good baloney. What? It's just pure fantasy on your part just because he's doing it to the Clippers.
He's doing it to everybody.
I give you this. He is not a good passer. He's a great passer.
Yeah.
He is not a good driver of the basketball. He is a great driver of the basketball because he is so herky-jerky, he's impossible to time. And he's taller and stronger than you give him credit for because he gets the guys in the lane and they can't time his Euro step. They don't know when to go up. And they're either going to foul him or he's going to fake them out of their jocks and make something up off the glass. But he can barely jump enough to dunk. He dunked last night and barely got up over the rim.
But hold on. Didn't Kawhi have a playoff career high 41 points? And you still lost. So are you
scored 18 in the first quarter? But you like that?
He had 30 at the half. So let me ask you this, Chris. You believe Kawhi Leonard got four more 40-point games in it? I don't.
Okay, well, do you think the Dallas Mavericks have 2 more 35 of 73-point shooting games? 50%? You think they're going to shoot 50%? I don't.
I believe that they don't have one guy that can neutralize Luka. So in other words, you got to come with the double team. And because, like you said, he is 6'8.5". He is a great passer, tremendous vision. He'll know where the double team is coming, and guys are getting wide open look. Remember we saw the footage? Steph Curry, who's the greatest shooter, made 105 consecutive threes. These guys are really, really good, Skip. And if you give them wide open, you're from here to that wall 10 feet away, 6 feet away. More times than not, they're going to knock that shot down.
I don't care that Luka made 5 of 13 threes. And by the way, I got to get this out of my system. Could we just show what he did again last night early in the third quarter? He's Mr. Airball, and you're comparing him to Larry Bird. Here he is in the third quarter last night. Here's your man, Baby Bird. Here's Luka Legend. It's up and it hits nothing but air. He did that twice in the in the fourth quarter of game 1. He shoots air balls every game. And you guys are trying to compare him to Larry Bird? It's blasphemy.
Right. The way I look at it.
Let me clear a few things up. Number one, the notion about Shannon and I making this up about the Lakers, tanking to avoid, or the Clippers tanking to avoid the Lakers. I text somebody who would know, Skip, last week, and I was like, man, I keep hearing that the Clippers, tank to avoid the Lakers. There's no way I believe that. That can't be true. I got the text back from a person that would know, totally true. And he didn't like it. He was bad karma, all that. So I believe it. They didn't want the Lakers. I'm not saying they would have been scared of them in the conference finals, but for whatever reason, they didn't want them early. That's what I'm told. So that's number one. Number two.
Why wouldn't you want them early? That's the only time you
Because normally,
but I don't know. I don't know what this did for the Mavericks. Luka was asked last night after the game, were you motivated because they tanked for you? He was like, I didn't even know about that until somebody told me before game 1.
Yeah, he's the one giving it to the crowd last night. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, we'll see how ha you are in Dallas.
He's that dude.
Because you skip what you want.
And Skip, he
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish your point.
Well, Luka is not the shooter, of course, that Larry Bird is. Maybe nobody is. I mean, Bird's in that conversation for best shooter ever. But as you mentioned, all his strengths. And Luka, let's keep it real. He's the first white dude since Bird that's been in the conversation for best player in the world, or will be in the conversation for best player in the world. He's not that athletic by what we call athleticism. He's not quick, doesn't jump very much. And he's crafty, and he's got brothers like baffled.
Yeah.
Like, why can't I stop this dude? Yeah. He's not that fast. That's what Bird was. That's why I compare him to Bird. And he's got that swag where he ain't afraid of the brothers.
Just like Larry.
He's going at him. That's why I compare him to Larry Bird.
Larry Bird wasn't athletic. He couldn't jump that high. But Luka and Larry, the same guy, they come to the hood and run the court. All the brothers that they run the court, like, how we let that guy do that? We ain't let him do nothing. He that dude. So guess what? As sooner or later, you got to give it to him, Skip. You don't get him any credit. I'm going to let you know what? I got an extra seat on my Luka bus. You want to get on it?
No, I do not, because he can have his 31, he can have his 8 and 7, whatever it's going to be. That doesn't bother me a bit. But if Tim Hardaway's going to make 6 of 8 in game 3, I'm going to get blown out. If Porzingis is going to make 3 of 4, and the first one he made was like from, where did you say, Calabasas?
Calabasas.
It was a logo 3. Porzingis, is he 7'3"? Is that what he is? So a 7'3" guy comes down and shoots a logo 3 in the second quarter. And I turned to my little Maltese Hazel. I said, we're in trouble. We're going to lose.
Well, you better guard somebody then.
Yeah.
Are you going to leave
who's going to guard the 7'3" guy at the logo?
No.
If you got that going, I can't win.
I'm talking about Hardaway Jr.
Yeah.
You better guard him.
I got it.
Or what about Kleber?
How about Kleber? He takes 2 threes and makes both of them. I can't beat that.
And if they'd have made the free throws, they'd have really beat the brakes off you.
Well, that's true.
No mercy. Well, the Nets got an easy 130-108 win over the Celtics last night to go up 2-0 in their opening round matchup. The series now shifts to Boston, where Kyrie Irving played before joining Brooklyn. And asked about the return after last night's win, Kyrie said, quote, I'm just looking forward to competing with my teammates, and hopefully we can just keep it strictly basketball. There's no belligerence or racism going on. Subtle racism. People yelling stuff from the crowd. It's part of the nature of the game, and we're just going to focus on what we can control. Chris Broussard's still here. Chris, do you like that he said this? What do you make of it?
I do like it. I was surprised because it kind of seemed like it came out of nowhere. Obviously, it was the anniversary of George Floyd's death. Maybe that sparked something in Kyrie. But it kind of came out of nowhere because, it's not like there was an incident in Boston related to athletes within the last month or even this season. So I was surprised, but I definitely like that he did it. Anytime you can call out racism, I appreciate it, especially as he said, that subtle racism that you can kind of disguise as, it's just in the spirit of competition. Mm-hmm. Not that they're going to call the N-word, but, you can use other negative racial terms and say, it's heckling, it's trash talk, we're just competing. And who knows, maybe we can all point back to Adam Jones back in 2017 at Fenway, where he said he was being called the N-word. Maybe Kyrie, when he was a player in Boston, I doubt he heard other players called the N-word. I don't know for sure. But maybe he heard comments at opponents that were race-based, that weren't the N-word, but other types of racial things. And remember, Kyrie, I think he said this because the 2 times he's been back in Boston as an opponent since he left the Celtics, there were no fans. And so he's getting out in front of it and saying, look, just in case, I'm putting it out there so it doesn't happen, because now you're going to have the media, you're going to have the officials all on the lookout to see if they hear any racial slurs or anything like that. So I think it was smart of Kyrie to say, and I'm glad he did it.
I don't have a problem with him saying it. But, Chris, if you say you want it to be about basketball and you mention this, what is it going to be about? That. Because you made that really the thesis of what you said. Now, I get it. We understand the history of Boston, and Boston should not be mad at opposing players pointing that out. You should be mad at your city for having this type of history in its background. That's what you should be upset about. And it seems like when people say that, well, everybody, no. Yours go above and beyond. If I'm not mistaken, I think when they retired Bill Russell's jersey, he didn't go back, Skip. Mm. If I'm not mistaken, I think I read it. I don't think he went back. I could be wrong, but we know how he felt about the Celtics. Mm-hmm. He loved everything Celtics, but he didn't like anything outside of the building because he's like, I see how y'all talk, not only to me and my black teammates, but how you talk about other black players. Yep. And he's like, that's not acceptable. So for me, I get what Kyrie's saying, and I hope it's just about basketball also. But I think when you bring that to the forefront, now people are going to ask, they're probably going to ask James Harden, have you ever heard the crowd say something to you, KD and some of the other black players? And now we get on a situation where it's about more than just, and I get it. Some things are more important than basketball, but if you wanted that to be your central focus, I don't know if I'd have brought that up. I don't have a problem with it, but now that is your focus. That's people's focus now.
Okay. I hear you. I'm with Chris that I have no problem with them bringing it up because it does serve to head it off at the pass. It does plant seeds in everybody's minds. Hey, if this is going to happen, let's all be on high alert for it to happen. And let's also remember, Kyrie stunk it up as a Celtic. His legacy is not pretty either, right? Because he wasn't even able to play that first go-around when they faced LeBron's, let's see, that would have been the Cavaliers in the 7 game. It went 7 games, and there was no Kyrie. And all those kids that Kyrie eventually threw under his bus, they all took LeBron to the brink in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And then the next year, Kyrie said, these young players have no idea how to win a championship. Well, they got close to getting to the finals without you. And now you're saying you won out. And at one point he said, ask me July 1st whether I want to re-sign or not. And then we saw him up in the tunnel at the All-Star game with Kevin Durant saying two. Like the Brooklyn Nets have 2 max slots. And that was the forerunner of what was about to happen. You could see it right there and hiding in plain sight, right? Okay, so then Kyrie flames out after they won their first-round series the next year, and against the Milwaukee Bucks, they won the first game by 22, and then Kyrie went completely south and shot 19% from 3. I think it was 5 of 27 that he shot, and that's how he ended his little legacy in Boston.
And I think that plays a large part, Chris, is that Kyrie's 2-year in Boston was a failure. Now, Paul Pierce, when he went back, he got an ovation. Rajon Rondo. But Kyrie, it wasn't, no way you look at it can say it was a success. And like I said, we understand Boston's history. We understand where Kyrie is now as a man and his mentality. But if you brought this up, now I'm not so sure that basketball is going to be the central theme is what people are going to be asking you about.
Okay, I agree. So we're go ahead, Chris.
Well, I think he knows what he's in for as far as just boos and cat calls and all that type of stuff. All right, because as you said, I mean, first of all, Skip pointed out how poorly he played, and he took the team. They didn't even go as far with him as they went without him. But also, now that he's gone, they see how he's succeeding in Brooklyn. Kemba Walker, his replacement, has been banged up with the knee. So Boston, which a few years ago looked like a team that was going to win championships in the future, now looks like they may need to tear this thing down. And so I think all of that will play into it too. So Kyrie's like, I know I'm going to get killed by the fans. Let me just make sure it's not racial. So I like that he said it, because maybe Boston fans could have thought, you know what, everybody here hates Kyrie. Maybe I can get away with saying this or that. So I think he cut it off.
Okay, now let's add one last layer of Shannon's favorite word, context here. While the Red Sox were the last Major League Baseball team to integrate, the Celtics were progressive forerunners, I should say, in breaking racial lines. Because look at what they did. They drafted the first black player in 1950. Then Mr. Russell, as in Bill Russell, played from 56 to 69. His last 2 years, he was the first black head coach, because he was a player coach, in the NBA. And on December 26th of 1964, the Celtics were the first team to start all 5 black players. So there's also, while Boston obviously has a racist legacy, it also has, with the Celtics, a very progressive legacy.
I was telling Skip earlier, Chris, you notice Do the Right Thing. And Mookie, who Spike Lee's character is asking Pino, he's like, all your favorite entertainers, you like Prince, you like Michael Jackson, you like Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, all of your favorite guys are black, and yet all you say is this, this, and this. Skip, we know, even when they started to integrate these colleges, they're like, ooh, we get black. But you know what you are when you take this uniform off. And so Bill Russell was like, man, here I am, and y'all still look at me and y'all say these things to me. And I hear you say these things to other people. So really nothing has changed. So that's why he kind of like insulated himself.
He did.
Just to Boston. He said, I love my teammates. I love the coaches. I love this organization. He never mentioned anything about the city. As a matter of fact, as soon as he retired, he got the hell up out of Boston.
No mercy. The Lakers and Suns are knotted up at a game apiece, with the series shifting back to L.A. tomorrow night. Anthony Davis scored a game-high 34 points, and the Lakers are starting to play with that swagger we saw them develop in the Orlando bubble during their title run just last year. Meanwhile, Phoenix will need more out of Chris Paul to stay competitive. But after last night's loss, Suns coach Monty Williams admitted it was, quote, pretty obvious that CP3's shoulder was compromised. So, Shannon, from what you have seen so far, who wins the series and in how many?
Skip, it's just hard for me to see the Suns winning another ball game. Now, I understand Booker is a little better than last year. DeAndre Ayton is a little better than last year. But we remember what their record was before they got Chris Paul. Chris Paul is the selling factor. Everywhere he goes, they're better than they were before he got there. That's fact. The Clippers, the Rockets, OKC, Phoenix, they're a better team when he's on it than when he's off of it.
Yep.
So I just don't see how Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton can be better than LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I just don't see how that's possible. Skip, did you see that dunk? A man that's the year 18, that's 36 years of age, should not be above the square unless he's on a ladder. Unless he's adjusting the rim. This is not supposed to be, Skip.
Really?
This is not normal.
He can still jump. I'll give you that.
This is the paranormal.
He can't shoot, but he can jump. I'll give you that.
We're dealing with things that we haven't seen before, Skip. I don't know. I might have to have a committee come together and study this.
I just saw a 43-year-old win the Super Bowl.
Oh, my God.
How about that?
You ruined
That's
all my,
paranormal.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
That's
no.
abnormal is what it is.
I mean, hey, they talk about UFOs in Congress. I might need to get Congress, get a subcommittee together to study how can a man jump this high at this age. But Skip.
Well, maybe we should look into it.
Maybe we should.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up.
If Chris Paul can't come back and be, Skip, 75, 80%, Skip, I just don't see how they win another game. I just don't. I think the Lakers are going to win. I think, and this is an opportunity, Skip, to try to dispense them as quick as possible and get AD and get LeBron rest, get that ankle, get that shoulder, get those bodies as much rest as they possibly need. So I'm going to say the Lakers in 5 because I don't see how they win another game without Chris Paul. And I don't know if his shoulder's going to be any better Thursday night than it was last night.
The Phoenix Suns went 51-21 this year and vied down the stretch for the #1 seed in the Western Conference, in largest part because of CP3, who is now CP0, because I don't even think he's going to play in Thursday night's game 3.
I would not play him, Skip, and I'll give him as much rest because they play Thursday and then they won't play again until Sunday. So I'm going to try to give him and get as much treatment as I possibly can without playing him. I'm not playing him tomorrow night.
So I am sorry, but the rest of this series for me has become moot. It's over. The Lakers are going to win 3 straight, and it's 1-1 now, but it's over. It has become a joke, a mismatch, a cakewalk. And it's all because yet another of LeBron's opponents got hurt. And I know he's still battling his quote-unquote ankle injury. Reportedly, allegedly, he's still got... Yeah, he's playing on one leg, which I can't see. How can you jump like that off one leg?
It's his right leg that's hurt. Ain't nothing wrong with his left one. He got kangaroo in him. You saw how he bunny hopped.
He's got something in him. I don't know what it is.
Space Jam. You ready for Space Jam?
Yeah, I'm ready.
He did all his own stunts.
Yep. Well, the problem is that every time I turn around, LeBron is getting another break from the injury gods. Because do I have to remind everybody what happened in the bubble? You got to game 1 of the NBA Finals, and you're facing the 5th seed in the East. This could have been a battle because you almost were facing the 1 seed. You wouldn't have had them, obviously, because you were 7. But again, this team was good enough to be the 1 seed. And now it's not good enough to win one of the next 4, these 4 games that they're going to lose.
Skip, and I believe Payne will play well, but that's a tall ask. You mentioned all the stops that he's had to lead a team, especially in crunch time.
So what happened in the bubble? You get to game 1, and the leading scorer for the Miami Heat in the playoffs, Goran Dragic, is out. And then what happens in the middle of game 1? Bam gets hurt, and he's got some shoulder issue, and he's never the same the rest of what became a 6-game final series. And I give you, LeBron was the MVP, but were you up against a team that was full strength? No. They were the 5th seed to begin with.
Skip,
how many breaks can you get?
Well, Toronto got a break because KD was out and Clay was out. Okay, Golden State got a break because Kyrie and Kevin Love. That happens. Detroit, when Magic and Byron Scott's hamstrings came apart. It happens.
Okay, but in round 1 last year, Dame got hurt, and it wouldn't have mattered probably.
Ain't no problems.
But he got hurt. And then Houston wins game one in resounding fashion, and all of a sudden Daniel House breaks the quarantine rules. You know what happened. And all of a sudden he gets sent home, and they get sent reeling into 4 straight losses to
somebody promised him they had the early vaccine for COVID. That's all he was trying to do. That's all he was trying to do, try to get an early vaccine for COVID. Yeah.
Well, he would have been the first, right? Yeah, okay.
Well, Skip, why you do that? You put
but it just drives me crazy because it's just another break where now I have to disqualify this whole series. I'll watch it because I have to watch it.
Now you want to disqualify the whole series. Now LeBron James might win. You want to disqualify the series.
Well, you just did.
I didn't disqualify.
You just made a strong case. They're just not the same without
They're
Chris.
not.
Okay.
But I'm still watching.
Okay, well, I'll still watch too. And
with interest.
Yeah, I know what's going to happen. It's going to be Lakers in 5.
You know what's going to happen?
Bet? No, you don't.
You know what happens in Bond movies. You watched all of them. You know what happened in the Fast and the Furious, and you're going to watch number 9.
I've watched every second of every
and you know
one
what?
of them.
And your favorite movie, Die Hard. You know what's going to happen, but you watch it
435 times. And Hans Gruber dies every time.
Exactly.
He's out the window grabbing on.
And you
right?
watch.
Yep.
So I need you to watch with the same intensity while we go ahead and do what we do to the old Suns.
Watch the inevitable conclusion. The hero's going to live, right? Way to go.
Good guys finish first.
Do they?
Yeah, the Go James, good guy.
Good guys.
I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah, you do.
I don't
Yeah, you do.
Mercy. Sunday, the best NASCAR season ever continues as the Cup Series returns to Charlotte, North Carolina for the Coca-Cola 600 at 6 Eastern, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Paul George scored 28 points in a losing effort for the Clippers last night, but it came after a pretty inefficient night on the court. PG was only 1 of 7 from three-point range, and LA was minus 18 when he was on the floor, which was the worst plus-minus of the night. Still, George is confident moving forward, saying, "We got to rise to the occasion. Fact of the matter is, if we don't, we're done for. There's no level of concern." So, Shannon, give Paul George a letter grade for last night's performance.
I gave him a B, Skip, because I don't think he played bad. You look at his overall numbers, Skip. He was 12 of 22 from the floor. He's perfect from the free throw line. He had 12 rebounds. He had 6 assists. So I thought he played 1 steal. He wasn't good from the three-point line. And I think, so if you look at it, Skip, he missed 10 shots. 6 of them came from the three-point line. Other than that, he'd had a very great stat line. And plus, you're asking him to do an awful lot. There have been a handful of guys in the history of the NBA that says, okay, we need you to go give us somewhere between 25 and 30. But we also need you to neutralize the other guy's best team. I can only think of 3 guys off the top of my head that could do that. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and GOAT James. They were always tasked. We need your offense, but we also need you to give us defense. You remember when Derrick Rose won the MVP? They won the first game, and Spoelstra said, "GOAT, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to still give me 27 to 30, but I need you to stop some of this, all this weaving and wiving to the basket. Shut it down." When Tony Parker got it going, shut it down.
He did.
So that's what you're asking Paul George to do. And like I said, these guys are reputation-based now, Skip.
Yep.
They're not the same level of defenders they once were. They were great defenders. Kawhi was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. That lets you know what he was. Paul George has been an all-defensive player. That lets you know what he was. But they aren't that now. And we just keep saying, oh, they can two-way. They're not those players anymore. But I'm not going to beat Paul George up for this. There was a lot of blame to go around. Paul George wasn't the reason why they lost this game. They couldn't contain Luka, and he found open guys, and they knocked down wide open shots. That's why. But I gave Paul George a B last night.
I think I want to give him a P for pandemic.
Oh, so now you going to beat him up.
I'm going to beat him up. In reality, he deserves a C, somewhere in the middle of the road, but all those things, those big numbers that you give me, the 28, 12, and 6, they look pretty good in this box score.
Right.
This thing, it can't play, but it looks pretty good right here in my hand, right? Until I slide across to that three-point number, and it's 1 of 7. And then I think of game 1, and he was 2 for 8. So now he's 3 for 15 in this series, while the Mavericks are 35 of 70. And I start thinking of 2 flashpoint moments last night. They were 2 critical, sort of game-turning, changing moments. at one point, mid-third quarter, if we could see him attack the basket, and he's got a wide-open dunk, if we could please make me see it again. And you just have to dunk this to tie the game. And
I think he got caught in between, Skip. Am I going to dunk it or am I going to lay it in?
He wasn't sure,
right.
And that there's a hand on the basketball, and I get all that. But if you're that guy, that dude, if you're not George Paul, if you're Paul George, you just figure out a way to dunk it or at least lay it in. If you've lost your steps and your rhythm, just lay it over the front and just let it settle in the basket. Because I don't care how it goes through the basket. You don't have to get style points. Just make the shot.
Right.
And then I told you early in the show, there's another flashpoint moment in the fourth quarter when they have cut it all the way to 5 and they have a possession to maybe cut it to 3. And I'm thinking we got the momentum because Marcus Morris snapped out of his funk and made a couple of threes. And here's Luka, and that's pretty good defense. He defended him, and we come down to the other end. I said, no, please, don't. And it barely grazes the front of the rim. Did he not second-guess that shot? He third and fourth-guessed it, and that's to cut it to 2. That's to say, with 4 minutes left, we got this.
But, Skip, that was the same shot that, if you remember opening night when he scored 26 against the Lakers, those were the shots that he was making.
Right. This isn't the Lakers on opening night. This is the Mavericks in a crucial Game 2 at home. You have to try to slam the door on the Mavericks. You have to break the spell that they're casting on you from 3-point. And if you need to fight fire with fire, you need to pass the ball around the perimeter. You need to let Rondo touch the basketball. Let somebody get a better shot than you trying to create a shot like that, because that was a George Paul shot. And I knew it before he shot it. Please don't do this, because get it back to Marcus Morris. If he's starting to heat up, let's let him take a wide-open shot, because I'll bet you could get him a wide-open shot.
He was 2 of 5. You make it seem like the man was 4 of 5.
He was 0 of 5 until he made the last 2.
Exactly.
Okay?
3 of 9 from the floor.
You know what? He is tough-minded. He does have that dog in him. He's been in a slump, just a skunk slump right now.
Yeah.
But he snapped out of it late, and I'm thinking, okay, because he's taking and making a lot of big shots for this team. Well, maybe it's time to pass the basketball. So suddenly he has the gumption to try to do it himself, but after the missed dunk, what happened? They suddenly fell behind by 11. After that missed shot last night, what happened? Nothing good happened. They fell woefully behind, and that was the end of that deal.
Well, everybody on your starters was minus 11, minus 18, minus 16, minus 12, minus 7. So you weren't good.
Right. In crucial moments, he went pandemic on
No mercy. Cowboys linebacker Jaylon Smith is changing uniform numbers, leaving behind 54 for his number 9 jersey that he wore at Notre Dame. Jerry Jones signed off on the uniform switch, which will reportedly cost Smith a 6-figure price tag, since league rules stipulate he has to buy out the remaining inventory of 54 merchandise. Tony Romo most recently wore 9 for Dallas, but Smith apparently also got the former QB's blessing to wear the number. So, Shannon, are you surprised that Jerry allowed Jaylon to have Romo's old number here?
Jerry has a fondness for Tony Romo, but you know who Jerry is more fond of? Dead presidents. Lincoln and Grant and Jerry.
So he just wanted Jaylon's money?
Skip, guess what? I get to print up some number 9s that's going to have Smith. They're going to buy those, but you got to buy the inventory out that I already have a 54. How do I lose?
So this was just dollars and nonsense?
But Skip, what is this mythology with Tony Romo? Tony Romo, people go up and say...
Well, it's from the owner. How many times do you say he's like a son to
No, but
Jerry
I'm saying
Jones?
the fans are upset that Jaylon Smith.
No,
Skip, I can make a case that Danny White had a better career for the Cowboys than Tony Romo.
I could make that
But
case
this
also.
mythology is like, how dare somebody with Tony Romo? He ain't paid Manning or Tom Brady.
Okay, but what has Jerry said? My biggest regret is I didn't win a Super Bowl with Tony Romo at quarterback, right?
Yes.
So I thought he would protect that hallowed number 9 for no apparent reason, but that he would protect his son's number 9, and he did not.
Man, somebody gonna pay you $300,000-$400,000 to buy the jersey, and guess what? You're gonna be able to print some more number Smith on the back.
That's a little drop in Jerry's bucket.
No, but, hey, the one thing on it ain't nothing to drop. Is they want all the change in the bucket.
Well, at least Jerry is protecting 12, which is Staubach, and 8, which is Aikman, and 22, which is Emmett.
But and nobody's wore 74, which is Bob Lilly. But Skip, he was wearing Randy White.
54, Randy White and Chuck Howard.
Yeah, they make it seem like Randy White was a bum.
He was not a bum.
Exactly.
He was the man.
There's a lot of guys that numbers should be retired for the Cowboys, but, you know, they don't officially retire, but no one has been given the number.
Yep.
But 9 ain't one of those numbers.
Way to go, Jerry. For Jerry. Surprised Tony signed off on this. All right, great stuff, guys. Undisputed back same time tomorrow. The Herd is on now. Have a good one.